Hey y'all, test tomorrow. Okay, so it says given the function f of x is x squared minus 1 and g of x is x plus 1, so that's what's graphed, create a table and then graph the point for h of x. The quotient means divide, of f of x and g of x. Okay, so f of negative 2, remember this is always telling you x, so x is negative 2. This is my f of x, just so we know. So negative 2 is a height of 3. Okay, at 0, it's a height of negative 1. At 1, it's a height of 0. And at 3, it's all the way up here at a height of 8. Okay, now we're going to look at g. So g of negative 2, remember again, this is still our x. We're looking at x, so negative 2. Now we're looking at this line. Okay, g of negative 2 is negative 1. G of 0 is positive 1. G of 1 is a height of 2. And g of 3 is a height of 4. So knowing that, now we divide. 3, so guys, if you struggle with dividing, use your calculator. 3 divided by negative 1 is negative 3. Negative 1 divided by 1 is negative 1. 0 divided by 2 is 0. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now, last but not least, it wants us to graph our h. Okay, so I'm going to pick one more color, and I'm going to graph it. So at x is negative 2, we're going to go down to negative 3. At 0, it's negative 1. At 1, it's 0. And at 3, it's 2. So 3 is 2. So if you notice, our line is just parallel to our other linear line. I know my line's not very good, and I'm going to label it h of x. Okay, so that's how you do the table, and that's how you do the graph. And you will do a table on your test and a graph on your test. Okay, so let's keep going. A big reminder I want y'all to remember is that when there's an x, you're creating an equation. Okay, it's when it's an x, you're creating an equation. So when there's nothing, remember that's like a closed dot, so it's multiply. Okay, so we're going to multiply 3x squared times 7 minus x. So 3x squared times 7 is 21, and there's only x twice, x squared. And then 3, remember this is the same as negative 1, so 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. X squared times x is x cubed, because it's x 3 times 2, 3. Okay, can't simplify this, so there's your answer. Now, I'm going to circle the ones like the ones that are on your test. Because you won't have multiplying, we've already tested over that. This was just kind of a refresher of what we've gone over, because we did kind of go over it again this unit. So I'm going to circle the ones, so like the graph at the top, this will be on your test. Okay, number 2 will be on your test, number 3, number 4, okay, and then obviously more. I'll look at those in a minute. So here we have a number, sorry. When it's a number, you're finding the solution, which is going to be another number. Okay, so let's type in these equations. Let me clear my calculator. Okay, we have 3x squared for y1, or f of x, which I'm going to label as y1, and we have g of x, which I'm putting in y2. So 7 minus x. Second graph. And I need to find g of 5 first. So let's go down to 5. G is in my y2, which is 2. Okay, and now I need to find f of 2. So let's go to 2, and f is in my y1, so y1 is 12. So my answer here is 12. Okay, here's another one, same equations. Remember, this is in y1, this is in y2. So now we need to find f of 5. So let's go to 5, and f is in my y1, and that's 75. And now I need to find g of 75. So I'm going to cheat and do second window, table start at 75, and I'm finding g, which is in y2, and that's negative 68. Okay. Now, this one again has an x, which means I'm finding an equation. This one is going to be on your test. This is composition of functions. This is saying f of x goes inside of g of x. So g of x is 7 minus, remember we ignore the x and we put parentheses. The x is gone. We replaced it with parentheses. We're replacing the parentheses, or what inside of parentheses, the x, with f of x. So 3x squared. Now I don't need my parentheses. Okay, this is just going to be 7 minus 3x squared. I cannot simplify this, therefore it is my answer. These are not like terms. Okay, here's another one. This one's also not going to be on your test, but when you're adding, you just do 8x plus 13, because f of x plus g of x, which is x squared minus 5x. Okay, my like terms are here and here. So we have x squared plus 3x, because 8x minus 5x is 3x, and then plus 13, because this didn't have a like term and this didn't have a like term. Okay. Again, subtraction will not be on your test either, but just as a refresher, we have g minus f, so x squared minus 5x minus, remember we use a parentheses for the second one, x plus 13. And you distribute. That is a subtracting and that's subtracting. So x squared minus 5x minus 8x minus 13. Here are my only two like terms, and I get x squared negative 5 minus 8. If you have a hard time with that, you can come to your home screen, negative 5 minus 8, and get negative 13. Don't forget to put your x back, and then minus 13. So here is this one. Closed dot means multiply. So 8x plus 13 times x squared minus 5x. 8x times x squared is going to be 8x cubed. 8x times negative 5x. 8 times negative 5 is 40. And if you have a hard time with that, guys, come here. 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. So negative 40. X times x is x squared. And we have 13 times x squared, which is just 13x squared. And we have 13 times negative 5x. Again, 13 times negative 5 gives me negative 65. And there was one x being multiplied. Here are my like terms. So I get 8x cubed. 40 plus 13, negative 40 plus 13 is negative 27. X squared minus 65x. Here is my answer. Now, these 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 will be on your test. Okay, so let's talk about these. So here, these two use the same equation, so let's plug those in. So 8x plus 13, and then x squared minus 5x. Okay, I put this on y1, this on y2. Okay, and I'm going to go to my table. So I'm looking first for g of negative 1. Sorry, I went to the graph on accident. G of negative 1. So negative 1, g is in my y2, so that's 6. And then bring down my first letter, and now I find f of 6. So let's go down to 6, and f is 61. Okay, now this one is an equation, so I'm putting g of x inside of f of x. So f of x is 8x plus 13, and I'm putting g of x inside that, so x squared minus 5x. So then I distribute my 8. I do need my parentheses. 8 times x squared is 8x squared. 8 times negative 5x is negative 40x. Bring down my plus 13. There are no like terms, so I'm done. This has x squared, this has x, this has nothing, so none of those can combine. Okay, here again, I'm finding an equation because there's an x, so I'm putting f of x inside of g of x. So g of x is blank plus 1, and f of x is 2x squared plus 2x. Now, I don't need the parentheses because there's nothing in front, so I get 2x squared plus 2x plus 1, and nothing can combine. That's x squared, that's x, this is nothing, none of them can combine. None of them are like terms, so that is my solution. Now these two I can type in my calculator, so I'm going to go ahead and type those in. And I get 2x squared plus 2x, that's in y1. And in y2 I'm going to get x plus 1. Okay, so first I need to find f of 2, so I'm going to scroll down to 2, and I'm going to f, which is y1, that gives me 12. And then I need to find g of 12. So let's scroll down to 12 and go over to g, which is 13. Okay, here I need to find g of 2. Go back to 2. And that gives me 3, because remember g was in y2. And then find f of 3. So here's 3, and f is 24. Right. Hopefully these are pretty simple. Guys, if you have questions still, feel free to ask me at the beginning of class tomorrow, before the test. Now, these you do need to understand, but they are not on your test. But it's the same concept of what's on your test. Let's find g of 0. So this is g. So g of 0 is 0. And then f of 0, so this is f, is negative 2. Now I need to find f of 4, which is 0. And now I need to find g of 0, which is 0. Okay. Now I need to find f of 5. So 5 is here. This is my f. So that's 2. Now I need to find g of 2. Here's 2. This is g. So that's a height of 2. Okay. Now I need to find g of negative 2. Here's negative 2. G is this one. That is negative 2. And I find f of that. So negative 2 is here, and f, which is my v, is negative 1. Okay. Last page. So we're putting f of 1. These are the ones that are being tested over. Oh, just kidding. I'm about to do it mathematically, and I'm about to find the equation, but I don't need to because it's a number, not a letter. Okay. So we find, we're going to put f of x and y1, 2 square root x plus 3, and in y2 we're going to do negative 3x plus 1. Always double check your equations, because if you type them wrong, you will find the wrong answer. Okay, so f of 1 is 4, because that's in y1, and now g of 4 is negative 11, because that's in y2. Okay, now f of 6, so remember this is y1, is 6. So the nice thing is g of 6 is just negative 17. Now the rest of this page, everything will be on your test. Okay, all of these will be on your test. So you do have questions like this. I think like 5 or 6 of them. So again, anytime you see the open dot, remember, just put another set of parentheses. So what is f of 5? This is my f. This is my g. Label it big if you need to, okay? And we know that because of this. So when x is 5, is 3. And then find g of 3, which is 4. Okay. F of 6 is 4. G of 4 is 8. F of 7, this is F of 7 is 5. And then F of 5 is 3. Okay, so again, let's use our calculator. X plus 1, x squared minus 4. X plus 1 is in y1, y2. Okay. So g of 3, g is in y2, so 3, that gives me 5. And then find f of 5. F is in y1, so that's 6. Now it has a letter, so I'm going to find the equation. So I'm going to put g of x inside of f of x. X plus 1, I'm putting x squared minus 4. Okay, I don't need the parentheses, so this is the same thing as writing x squared minus 4 plus 1. These are like terms, so I get x squared minus 3. Okay, different equations, so let's change our equations out. I promise you won't have to change your equations out as much on the test. Okay, so y1 is 4x, 4x, 4x. Negative 2x minus 5, negative 2x minus 5, second graph. So I'm finding g of negative 2, or positive 2, sorry. G is in y2, so that's negative 9. And then I need to find f of negative 9. F is in y1, so that's negative 36. Last two are finding equations. So g of x goes inside of f of x. So f of x is 4 times x. And I'm going to put g of x in there. And then I'm just distributing. 4 times negative 2x is negative 8x. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. Okay, now I'm doing the opposite. I'm doing f of x inside of g of x. So negative 2 parentheses minus 5. So see how I wrote the exact same thing, just instead of x I put parentheses. And I'm going to plug in f of x, so 4x. So negative 2 times 4x is negative 8x. Bring over my minus 5. Can't combine anything, so there's my answer. Alright guys, if you have questions, bring them to me tomorrow. Good luck. I know you'll do great.